Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coffee with Regina. Today, I have my special guest, Schroeder Nordholt. Did I pronounce that right?
You sure did, darling.
Awesome, awesome,
Darling.
awesome. Schroeder and I met a while back now, and I just find what he does fascinating. Schroeder is a composer. He's a musician. He's a music educator. And one of the really cool things that I know that he does is he helps people find their voice. He has a business called Mic Drop. And if you are a speaker, a presenter, a trainer, or do anything out there where you have to talk, you need to talk to Schroeder. So welcome, Schroeder.
Thank you. Coffee talk with Regina.
Coffee, coffee, coffee.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, can I just get one
Perfect.
thing out of the way before we start here? Because I've had like 3 people now all say it and go, Schroeder, that's the guy on the Peanuts. And I said, yeah,
Was
and it
that
just
the
happens to be he plays the keyboard and piano too. So the question is like, I don't know, growing up, did you get that all the time? And is that why you learned the keyboard and piano and became a musician?
so I'm actually the real Schroeder, but I came out of the cartoon world and I popped into the real world by this magical thing that happened, and so it's the real deal. Um, if I may, oh wait, just to prove it. So if anybody didn't, right?
I had to do the Lucy thing over here. I love it.
So if anyone had any doubts, I am Schroeder. No, it's actually the other way around. This is the elephant in the room all the time. It's the other way around. Of my real name is Sean. Just put the record straight. And the story is I was playing in a bar in Banff, Alberta, or it's like a classy restaurant in a hotel, and I was playing that very song. And somebody goes, "Oh, I don't know who you are, but I'm going to call you Schroeder." And it's this nickname that just stuck. Like I tell people this guy called me Schroeder, and they're like, "Oh, cool, I'm going to call you Schroeder too." And my family and like literally everybody just was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to call you Schroeder," and it literally just stuck. So I just went with it, and I was like, "Yeah, that's
Did you
cool. It's a
officially
cool brand."
change your name to Schroeder?
I actually did because it became awkward in employment situations. They're like, "Okay, is your name Schroeder or is your name Sean?" And they'd write my check out to Schroeder, and I'd be like, "Well, I can't cash this now," and this kind of thing. So, back in the day when they wrote checks, and so I actually changed it legally. It's fun. It really works for the brand. So for teaching kids music and the voice coaching even that I do, it just fits. It just fits.
Yeah.
It's my brand. Yeah.
So you have like a wide variety of things that you do that kind of all circle around, music and the voice and all that kind of stuff. Fill us in as to like some of the the modalities that you work in.
Yeah, so all of the above. So it's always been a passion of mine to share music with others, and really, yeah. It's for me, it's less about the music itself. So if I'm doing piano with kids, or if I'm doing voice coaching with adults, um, it's really the skills, it's really the confidence and the brain activity that fires up when we engage in music, whether it's piano, singing, guitar. The neuroscience is in, folks, that when you engage in music, so even listening to music, that's, it's pretty well known. It shows that it lights up areas of your brain in fantastic ways. But when you play music, it's even more. It lights up the entire brain. Every part of your brain starts firing up. So as far as, building new neural pathways and becoming smarter and staving off, ironic, I can't think of the word for when you forget things.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Don't get old, folks. It's just one of the most powerful activities you can do. So it's less about the actual, skills that you develop, and more about the overall, confidence, you know, everything else that goes along with it. So yeah, so mostly I'm coaching voice. My favorite thing in the world because of so many reasons. And number one, you're the the joy. Okay, so it's when I started voice coaching online. I mean, I've done this forever, and I always would notice whether I'm coaching like an individual or working with like local university theater ensembles, and I'd lead the the whole group, and we do like like voice warm-ups to get them ready to go on stage, and that across the board, number one thing that happens is it's the joy, just the joy. People's energy goes like from here to here, like, or out the roof of, like, it just brings so much joy. And so again, it's more about that than the actual benefits of the voice itself, which are obvious. That, better voice, better projection, better inflection, and all the things that go along with voice coaching. People's energy goes way up, and it's like, wow, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yeah. That's just a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't know anybody. I honestly, personally don't know anybody who doesn't their energy doesn't raise with music. I mean, music can make you happy, it can make you sad. It depends on the music, right? Um,
Yeah.
Music overall, though, I think, like you said, it raises your energy up. There is some really cool things that I know you and I talked about a while back, where, like, if you're going to speak on a stage, that you have like these warm up things that you do, that you said, before you go to speak on stage, do this little, singing voice warm up thing. Do you remember
Yeah.
talking about that in the past? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, I can't remember what you had me do. What did you had me do it once? I don't even remember what
Oh,
it
there's
was.
so
Blah, blah,
many.
blah. What
There's
was
so
it?
many things. I don't remember this. I don't remember this specific thing that we did. There's so
What what
many.
what what,
But
what is one tip that you would give somebody if they're going out to speak?
yeah. So first of all, like, the second you start to, and I'll do this right now, of like, I don't know. So one thing you can do is, okay. So what I was going to say is that the coffee's kicking in. Is that the second you start to engage with your voice in a new way. So whether you go um, just gliding from low, highish to low, like, yeah, and working out sort of, the voice is like an elastic. So like, you picture an elastic, like, especially those thick ones, and they're kind of stiff at first, and then, yeah, yeah, yeah. It gets a little bit more elastic. The second you start to play with your voice, your mood goes up. So if you're backstage and you're about to go on, one thing is that, that what I was just doing, like, yeah. So as soon as I go, yeah, yeah, my voice is getting a little bit more warmed up, but more importantly, my energy, like we were already saying, is going up. I'm feeling just the uh, the feel good hormones, the feel good chemicals start to come out of the brain. I already feel a lot more like, because I don't know what it is. It's the silly, and it's the freeing, moving out of your current state, stepping into a higher vibration. And so the voice impact, like the voice um, benefits, but as well your overall energy. So when you step out onto that stage, you're a little bit more, or a lot more, depending how much you do, um, vibrant and energetic and engaging for your audience. So it works on multiple levels, which is fantastic. I don't know of another activity that can provide all these benefits in like 5 minutes. So to answer your question, yawning is one of the first go-to, just like a real stretch, like gliding from high to low and low to high, really lightly, and stretching your range so you have more inflection. But I've got lots of fun things, like lots
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
So note to everybody. You have to connect with Schroeder on Facebook, or yeah, we'll talk about all the places that you are. You definitely need to connect with Schroeder because he has really cool ideas on how to do this. So I was just thinking as you were saying that it's not just walking on stage. So I do my programs and my training, and I also create, static webinars and that kind of thing. And I do notice, because I've used a couple of your things, just that low to high. That's the one that I remember. I remember the yawning one, the low to high and the high to low. Um,
Yeah.
Before I go to record something, if I'm recording a static webinar, I do that before I start recording because
Cool.
you're right. It helps me get up and it helps my energy. And then before doing any kind of live presentation, it's great, even if you're just, on Zoom, because it really does. I've listened to a lot of trainers in my life, and there is nothing worse than listening to somebody who talks in
Right.
monotone and never has any inflection in their voice and just keeps going on and on and on, and they won't shut up, and you're like, oh my god, is this ever going to end?
Exactly. Exactly. And you might be like fascinated by their content, but you're tuning them out because of exactly what you just said. It's like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think Velma just said it here. If your voice is tight, your energy is tight. Yeah, that's true.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
and just thinking about that, what we said about the monotone is that, like, the attention span, if you're monotone, like you said, the content might be great, but if the delivery isn't right, so there's a whole bunch of things that need to go together in the package, and the delivery has to be right in order for you to really engage folks in.
Right.
Because if you have that monotone, no matter how interesting the content is, I do think it's your brain says, I don't want to listen to this. It's boring,
Right.
even though the content really isn't. It
Right.
comes through in your voice.
Yeah.
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 If your voice is
Your
bland, your
voice,
energy's bland.
your energy's blend. Exactly. Hey, Velma. It's so true. I was going to say, it's like, we really want to be like, yeah, we really want to not entertain, but kind of like when you're delivering, and presenting on any platform, like you're saying, like whether it's, anywhere, live on stage or on Zoom or recording a podcast, when you're presenting to your audience, I mean, there's so many things, but you owe it. Okay, so you owe it to them to show up a little bit more animated. But you really like, we need to think of our presentations a little bit more like a performance, as in, um, like if you think of like if you think of an actor, like if you think of any a movie, if that actor is delivering their lines monotone, they're not going to get that job, and then like, well, you're not going to watch that movie basically. Right, and it's like, so in the entrepreneurial space and um in your business, it's really showing up with a little more pizzazz is all it is. It's like, why not? Of like, yeah, you just larger than life. I call it showing up as the true, because it really is the truer than true version of you. It's like, here you are in your normal like life, and then you've got a presentation to make. Okay, showtime, right? It really is. It's like a little bit like a performance. And somebody just commented there. Think of your
Yeah,
presentation.
I just typed that in there because you know what? That is a brilliant takeaway for
Yeah,
everybody. So if you're
really.
just doing, if you're doing a live on Facebook, if you're doing a presentation, if you're doing a challenge, doing a webinar, show up like it's, this is the performance. You're on stage. That I never really
Mhm.
think about it that way, but you're absolutely 100% right.
Yeah, thank you. I don't hear that
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, and Velma mentioned that her son's mentor, because her son's a musician, said to be
Okay,
yourself at 200%.
totally. Go to 11, exactly. Like crank it up.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah, and yeah, you kind of owe it to your audience of like, yeah, you owe it to your audience. Like, why would anyone pay attention to the small version of you, or the sort of like the you in your little like small self or whatever. Um, it's like, shine bright, people. Like, like bring it out. Like, bring out the real you, and it is the real you. Like when you start to turn so the voice is your most direct link to your soul or your true, you know what I mean? Like the truer, the true version of you. Your voice, that which connects your soul. And so when you start playing with it on a larger scale, you're bringing it out into the world as that 100% person. And
Yeah.
bright like a diamond.
Right. And this is actually, giving me some really great tips for when I'm doing presentations, because, I think of the same thing too. And my voice, I usually have, I think, okay, inflection even when I'm training, I actually catch myself. So little quick side backstory. When I was a young kid, very young kid, and in grammar school, I went to St. Joe's in Wakefield, Massachusetts, and it was pretty much all nuns that we had for teachers, and we had this one Sister Mary Holt, who would literally, old school, slap the hand and stuff if you weren't paying attention to your inflection. And because it was a
Really?
Catholic school and they would make us go up in church and, read the readings and stuff like that, she was like really on us to make sure that, we were speaking in a way that the audience would understand us. And I've taken that with me through my whole life. So even though I start
I
talking
guess
faster,
so.
I pay attention to my inflection, especially if I start seeing deer in the headlight looks from people as I'm on a as I'm on a presentation. I'll look at them and go, okay, that's probably me either speaking too fast and they're not understanding me, or something else is going on. Let's regroup and pull it back and bring it back up again.
Yeah. I guess if you're I'm
She said,
echoing.
you're
I was
echoing.
saying, what do I need to do? Like,
I don't hear you echoing. I'm not sure.
maybe I'll just turn myself down. I don't know. I'll put headphones in. But like, if you're worried about getting slapped, then I guess that would stick with you for sure. Like that's a pretty old, like you said, old school way. Um, I don't encourage such behavior, but hey, it worked. It worked. Now you know, you're watching your audience, you're reading your audience. If they, like you say, have that deer in the headlights, they're sort of that zoning out look to them. There's a thing that says like, if your audience is tuning out, maybe it's you, not them. And so it very much probably is. Like it probably is. Like you want to bring something else, crank up the dial, incorporate some other technique, use some inflection, bring some other technique into your performance, into your presentation.
Yeah,
Whether and the voice has a lot to do with that. Maybe you need to be a little more emphatic, maybe whatever it is, having options. A lot of the stuff that I do, the work that I do is giving people options. You might never do that with your voice, but now you have the option to do that with your voice. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Cool.
And like you said, I mean, it expands the range. One of the things
range
that
of
that you keep hitting on in the background, with your melody, the volume changes. Thank you, Velma. One of the things you keep hitting on that I keep hearing is about the confidence. So when you are confident with your voice, you're confident throughout. I think. I mean, I think a lot of people, whether they're on a Zoom call or they're on a stage, that presence, the fear of, presenting and the fear of standing on stage, I think a lot of it has to do with your voice, because I think you're right. You kept hitting on it in the background there, is that your voice is your confidence.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
So the more you can get in tune with your voice, the better you are.
1,000%. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of people are afraid of the sound of their voice. Like you'll hear yourself recorded, and it's like, ooh, is that how I sound? And then from that moment on, you're like, ooh, I don't want to hear myself. I don't want others to hear myself. There's this subconscious link holding you back. There's negative messaging around. Like my story was like more like, the classic. This is the classic. Children should be seen and not heard. Basically was my upbringing, right? Um, place. So you just learn, you just adapt in this environment to stay in a box, and and then you grow up and you're like now an adult and you're trying to get your stuff out there and you're playing small, and then so it's like really like a lot of the time it's like permission, I find, to play big, like play tall, like stop playing small, play tall. You're allowed. It's safe. You know,
Do you think you
it's
actually just tickled something in my brain? So do you think that a lot of maybe the confidence in the voice issues for people stem from a limiting belief because they were told when they were younger, be quiet, be seen, not heard, that kind of thing? Because I know that I had that in my generation too. So, you know,
yeah.
uh, I had a
Oh, for
lot of that
sure.
old school stuff. So I'm just thinking there's a limiting belief there that it's like,
Hmm.
no, you can be heard now. It's okay. And that maybe that's
Right.
what holds some people back.
1,000%. It's like if you grow up in an environment, so like like my generation, we adapt, and like I let my kids be as loud as they want, and they're great singers, really great. Like my one kid is in musical theater school now, and like about to blow up her career. You should hear the voices on these kids. It's incredible. Like I'm not just bragging. That's like legitimately amazing voices. Early on when I started my actual online voice coaching, I got feedback like, you just saved me thousands, and not, I mean, like, who knows, it's subjective, but like in therapy. And here I am, like, I just thought we were learning to use our voices more effectively, and I'm a voice coach. I had no idea I was affecting change on a deeper level. Well, I was, and that's powerful. Like it's way more powerful than what I just thought we were playing with our voice and like learning to do all the things like lows and highs and protect our voice and all the just what I'm saying, like just in the actual category of working on our voice. I just thought we were doing that. Well, lo and behold, I'm helping people like unlock these negative messages, um,
Yeah. And I
by
know in your
virtue of the
bio, yeah,
voice. Hey, yeah, just
I
by
know
playing with your voice, like without having to address the specific issues, just play with your voice, and and then all those negative programs start to unravel. How fascinating!
right, right, right. I'm not sure if we have a little
It's
bit of a
like,
delay here. I just wanted to add in because I know in your bio you've worked with Michael Beckworth and Mark Victor Hansen and Dr. John DeMartini. So you know that stuff, that the
yeah,
mindset piece of it that all ties
yeah,
into your voice. And I just think that's a really cool combination when you're training somebody to speak and you can tune into, okay, where might the issue be coming from? Maybe it's not, the diaphragm. Maybe it's in here, and we need to work in here and get them so that they'll project. And I
totally.
in my high school years, we had plays, and that was the other thing that came up was, if you're on stage for a play or whatever, you need to project your voice because in a high school play, there is no
Totally.
microphone.
Right,
We have to project. And
right,
I remember my very first play that I had a line in, I got that from my music teacher constantly. No, Regina, you
right.
need to project. I need to be able to hear you if I'm sitting in the back of the audience here. I need to be able to hear you. You need to project your voice. And so I think that's subliminally where I learned between Sister Mary Holt with the inflections and
Hmm.
projections and all the stuff that I was trained in, that it kind of all played a part into how I speak now with melody, melodic. Well,
Yeah,
how do you say that? The melody in your
like
voice, the
like
ups, the
having like a
downs.
melodic voice. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, melodic voice.
Totally. Yeah.
So that you aren't monotone, you don't sound boring. I never really considered that before, is that I kind of had training without knowing that I was having training.
That's excellent. I was wondering though, how did you? Because you can't just tell somebody to project, because otherwise they'll unless they're doing it properly. But like often you need to learn. Like I teach how to project, because if you don't do it with the right technique, you'll blow out your voice. If someone just says to you project, you might end up shouting and ruining your voice in like 2 sentences. Like
I
shouting,
honestly,
like shouting is the worst thing you can do for your voice. You have to, I mean, you can learn to shout proper. There's a proper way to shout or project without sounding like you're shouting. Right? There's a lot of mechanics
yeah,
that go around with that. So how did you do? You remember like
I
that training
honestly,
how to project, or
yeah,
just
no, I honestly don't remember the details. I remember her name was, she passed on just a few years ago, Mrs.
uh
Tamagini, and I'll never forget Mrs. Tamagini. Anybody who knew her would never forget her.
okay,
And she had a way of working with us, and I don't remember the details. I just remember after, by the time we got to the play, I was Grandma Zeitel in Fiddler on the Roof senior year,
nice,
so I had to sing
nice,
a song, and
nice.
um, I was scared. Yeah, well, we won't put the expletive there, but I was scared.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
Right.
um,
No, for sure.
it was my first time getting on stage singing like that by myself, so it was kinda like the solo. I was doing the Grandma's Idol thing, and
Yeah, yeah.
when I first started training for that part, I remember the very first couple times I did it, I mean, I was getting, "Nope, stop, stop, stop. We need to be louder. We need to project. We need to do this." And I remember she worked with me to get it so that I would, be, more confident in my voice and doing it. So whatever
Cool.
she did it right. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's all kinds of techniques nowadays um, that you share with people that help them use their
yeah.
voice more efficiently.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's so many, and I draw on like the tradition of proper technique from way back when. That is just how it's really about how the human body was designed. When you work in harmony, haha, that's my little joke, with your body. When you work in harmony with your body, we're designed to improve over time, but you have to learn how to use your body and not just this area. But when you do, your voice improves. Wow, the more you use it, as opposed to I used to ruin my voice. The more I'd use it, I'd be like trying and trying and trying, and like I'd always hit this wall of like ruining my voice. So for me, anyways, that was my journey was like that, and I had to learn. I just went and figured. I just took like tons of courses and training with as many voice coaches as I could. Got all this great technique, and now I've always been a teacher, so I'm like, oh, now I can teach that. Cool, and it's wonderful. It's like my favorite thing in the world to do for
So
just so many reasons.
I know, and I could talk to you forever on this because I find this so interesting, and you just keep tickling more things in my brain to like bring up, and we're running out of
Right?
time, unfortunately. So
I
I
know.
do want folks to know. So where do they find you? What do you do? How do you do it? Who do you work with? Tell us about mic drop and voice coaching and what you got going on.
So I actually have a workshop tonight. Like this our interview conversation here couldn't have been better timing. So folks should. So I work with. So tonight I'm doing a workshop with Alvira V. Hopper. She's a soul sister I met recently. She's also a musician, but she works with people on the energetic. She's a mindset coach. She's a miracle magnet coach. So we've put our two skill sets together. She likes to say 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals 11. Right. So it's a fantastic. It's really for anybody who uses your voice in your business. The people I work with range, from speakers, obviously, like you're a professional speaker, um, and then coaches and authors, authors that have to get up and talk about their book and go on tours and then speak about their book night after night, and again be that engaging presence, not just like here's my book. You know what I'm saying? Preachers, politicians I've worked with, just people who need to engage their audience, which is pretty much everybody, if you think about it. But those are a few of the different types of people that I work with. So if you're somebody like that, come tonight. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll put the link in the chat. It's called the True Blue You Experience. So you're going to get some of my vocal coaching. You're going to get some of Elvira's mindset coaching. She does a lovely sound vibration healing, or she calls it a sound bath. So she has the crystal bowls, and it's fantastic. You know, I used to think, oh, that's just woo woo, but it's science, folks. It's science, like how the vibrations of these bowls resonate and interact with your energy field. You'll feel like we did this on Saturday. It went really, really well. People loved it, and yeah, you feel like your energy change. It's fascinating. It's quite wild. It's quite wild.
Yeah,
So
I've
it's
been
a
to some crystal bowl sessions in the past,
great,
and it's
yeah,
amazing how they work.
isn't it?
So yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. After we get done, drop the link into
will
here, and
do.
we'll make sure it gets shared out on all the platforms so that people can check it out.
Great. Yeah.
From there, is there
Hmm.
a Facebook page or anything like that? Where would people connect with you outside of tonight's event?
So yeah, my Facebook is there. We can drop that as well. I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to offer a not a strategy session where it's like, oh, that's a disguised sales call. Of like, no, it's just an assessment for people who would like to just like some tips on some tips on how to improve their voice. Always happy to share that stuff. Um, people can just sign up for. I don't have like tons of spots, but we can put my calendar in the chat as well if you like. I like
Yeah,
to offer those out, just to help. It's really about sharing what I know so more people can benefit. Basically, it's like share the wealth. Like I learned, and one of my goals is to like compress the time so that if I can like fold time, as it were, so it doesn't take somebody else 30 years to figure out how to use their voice like it did for me. Then I'm so happy to do that because it's like it shouldn't take that long. That's what I've done is figured it out so that I can help people way quicker. Even just one tip, like the one I shared today of like yawning, and you would do that for like 5 minutes. You wouldn't just do it once, but just that one simple tip is going to change. So there's just simple, quick things that people can do that I'm happy to share. So yeah, grab a spot with me for that.
I
I see you put it
love
there.
that.
Free voice assessment. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. Don't forget, we'll put all of these links. So bounce in, and then we'll make sure they're on all the platforms, so that if folks
Cool.
can make it tonight, I'm happy to share out your event tonight as well. So once you put it
Nice.
out there, because I know how good you are, so I've never heard the
I
woman
love
that
it.
you're working with tonight. I'm assuming if she's working with
She's
you, she's just as good as you are. We're going to say as good or better.
as good or better. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah,
and
she's
and
fantastic.
yeah, this has
She's
been an amazing conversation. So we
yes.
are out of time, and we could go on forever
Mm,
on this conversation, right? I know, right? It
right.
goes by so quick because this is such an
I
interesting
know.
topic. I would love to dive
Yeah.
deeper. Maybe you'll come back on again another time. We'll dive deeper into the whole mindset of the
Let's do it.
voice. Um,
Yeah,
that would be
we could
that would
bring
be
Elvira
super
in.
cool.
We should bring Elvira in next time for that. For like, so we can have both coming at it from both points of view. I'm like the mechanical. I've got mindset stuff too. Like you were saying, like my work with these luminary figures. I've shared stages with these mindset experts. But my actual work, like I bring the mechanical, how to use your voice, and then she brings the mindset piece, and it's the combo is very powerful. So yeah, we should bring in Elvira next time. So
I
yeah,
I,
I'd love
I
to. This
Yeah,
is
I
great.
love that. And I've never had two people on at the same time on Coffee with Regina. That would be a really interesting one. We might have to go a little
Okay,
bit longer for that one.
let's hook it up, baby.
Let's hook it up. I'm saying, yeah,
Let's
that's
hook it
absolutely
up.
right. All right, so
Nice.
we are out of
Thank
time.
you so
Thank
much.
you all for joining us on Coffee with Regina.
Cheerio
If
then.
you are joining us after and you want to put some comments in, just put hashtag replay so we know you caught it out here as a replay. And Schroeder, it has been so much fun chatting with you.
It's
Do
been
you want to
lovely.
send
It's
us
been
off
so
with any
marvelous
music?
chatting.
What was that?
Say it again. Say it one more time. What'd you say?
I said, do you want to send us off with some music?
Oh, sure, darling. So, the classic.
I don't know. Is that going to get us? Is that going to get us kicked off of Facebook or something like that because of the music?
No, I don't think so. I think the
I
bots won't
absolutely
recognize
love
it. I
that.
made a mistake. I made a mistake, so the bots won't be like they won't recognize it. They'll
All right,
scoot
sounds
right
good.
over it. Don't worry, darling. We're good.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much.
And until next time, we'll see you next time on Coffee with Regina. Come and join us again for a cup and a chat with purpose. Bye for now.